Akron, Ohio, Thomas and Rory McIlroy have become regular range rats at the Bears Club, the Tony South Florida enclave where they practice. Earlier this week, the Northern Irishman was asked if Thomas tried to hit the ball as far as he does when they first played together. "He was trying to," McIlroy smiled. If that response is any indication, Sunday's final pairing at the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational featuring the two stars should be entertaining on many levels. Full field scores from the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational articles, photos and videos. "We know each other pretty well from down in Florida, and we practiced together quite a bit last week, so obviously that practice for both of us paid off coming into this week," said McIlroy, who is 3 strokes behind Thomas. The duo prepared for this week's event together, but there weren't any matches, only a steady stream of one-liners. Asked if the two will have their own $10 million match on Sunday at Firestone, like the made-for-TV duel planned later this year between Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, Thomas laughed. "I think if we had a match for $10 million, we would just shake on it and split it," smiled Thomas, who is alone atop the leaderboard at 14 under. "I think that would be the smartest decision for us." Akron, Ohio, on Friday at Firestone, Rickie Fowler had 3 bogeys, a double bogey and just a single birdie. In other words, a reason to look forward to next week's PGA Championship. For Fowler, however, his second round 74 set the stage for the week's best rebound round. Fowler was 11 strokes better on day 3 at the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational, finishing his day without a bogey and a third-round 65 that vaulted him back into contention at 8 under par, 6 strokes off the lead. "Yesterday was just one of those ones where I couldn't get momentum going the right way, didn't make anything, so it was nice to come back and clean things up," said Fowler, who was tied for 7th place. Full field scores from the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational articles, photos and videos. Fowler explained that his turnaround was more a product of the South course, which was as benign as it's ever been for rounds 1 and 2. "This golf course, especially when it starts to firm up a little more and more, it's a really fine line," he said. "Yes, the fairways may be 30-plus yards wide, but if you don't land them in the middle, they tend to want to run out and get into the rough." Statistically, the biggest difference between the 2 rounds was Fowler's putting, despite hitting 4 fewer fairways on Saturday compared to round 2. On Saturday, he gained 2.7 shots on the field in strokes gained putting, compared to -0.65 strokes on Friday. Article tags: 2018 WGC-Bridgestone Invitational, Rickie Fowler. Lee Westwood has withdrawn from the PGA Championship next week with an injury, missing the major for only the 2nd time since he first played it in 1997. The PGA of America did not specify the nature of Westwood's injury. Westwood tied for 61st 2 weeks ago in the British Open. His last victory was in 2015 at the Indonesian Masters. He was replaced in the field at Bellerive Country Club by Jason Kokrak. Chris Kirk is the next alternate and certain to get into the field because the Bridgestone Invitational winner is likely to already be eligible. Article tags: Lee Westwood, 2018 PGA Championship. Akron, Ohio, as Tiger Woods stomped down the hill on Firestone's 3rd hole, a fan yelled, "We love you more than LeBron James, Tiger." While Woods' final turn around the South course will likely be similar to James's early exit from last year's NBA Finals, sans the hasty move from Cleveland to the West Coast, the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational swan song has a fitting cast for its curtain call. It was called the World Series of Golf back in 1976 when Firestone first hosted a tour event. That inaugural stop in Ohio was won by Jack Nicklaus, and along the way everyone who was ever anyone won here. From Woods, who will finish his career with an 8-pack of South Course tilts, to Tom Watson and Phil Mickelson, if you have a locker in the World Golf Hall of Fame with your name on it, that portfolio probably includes a victory at Firestone. It was the biggest small-town stop in the game. It's only fitting that as the South Course slips towards its PGA Tour sunset, a casualty of next year's condensed schedule and a relocation to the even steamier confines of Memphis, that the current generation of stars are poised to send the old gem out with a bang. Justin Thomas, who appears to be peaking at just the right time as he prepares to defend his title at next week's PGA Championship, leads the pack, crashing a tie to begin the day with a third-round 67 that propelled him to a three-stroke lead. Thomas was 7 years old when the event was christened with WGC status in 1999 and is making just his third start at Firestone, but is the prototypical Firestone player, long by any definition, and putting as well as he has all season. Although his putting wasn't as divine as it was on Friday, when he rolled in 122 feet of putts, it didn't need to be, with Thomas picking apart the South Course with a combination of power and perfect wedge play. He ranks first in the field in proximity to the hole, giving himself 4 birdie looks from inside 10 feet. That's a dramatic turnaround for a player who admits he hasn't exactly had his best stuff at Firestone. Full field scores from the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational. WGC-Bridgestone Invitational. Articles, photos and videos. I'm just happy to finally play this place well. Obviously I have a day left, but I played 3 really good days of golf, Thomas said. I'm glad I played it well for it to move next year. Despite a 3-stroke lead, the star power and potential reaches deep down the kind of leaderboard that one would expect from a World Golf Championship. Thomas will be paired with Rory McIlroy on Sunday, with the 2014 Bridgestone champion posting his own 67 on a South Course that got a little bit of its bite back thanks to a few days of dry conditions. The Northern Irishman historically plays his best this time of year on these types of traditional, parkland courses, and his steadily improved tee-to-green game produced one of the day's most consistent rounds, with McIlroy posting one of just 3 bogey-free rounds. It's the best I've hit it off the tee, and probably the best I've hit it overall, said McIlroy, who spent last week in South Florida preparing alongside Thomas on the range at the Bears Club. I hit some better wedge shots out there, which was good to see. The penultimate group will feature Jason Day and Ian Poulter, who's predictably coming into form just as a Ryder Cup approaches. Of course, he would. Poulter wasn't as sharp on day 3, following rounds of 62 to 67 with an even par 70. Despite bogeys at 3 of his final 6 holes to drop into a tie for second place with McIlroy, the Englishman has re-established himself as one of the game's most clutch players following his victory earlier this year at the Houston Open. For Day, Firestone's farewell tour is even more personal. He's an Ohio native via Australia and has contended at the Bridgestone in the past, most notably in 2016 when he tied for third. I'm sad to see it go because this is such a good golf tournament, said Day, whose 69 on Saturday left him alone in 4th place at 10 under par. The people are great and the golf course is tremendous. The marquee is perfectly placed for Firestone send-off, with Ricky Fowler, who carded a day's best 65, and John Ram, 68, tied for 7th place at 8 under par, but there is one name missing from the long goodbye. Woods, who began the day with the tour's best third-round scoring average, managed just a single birdie and faded into a tie for 28th place with a 3 over 73. He will need something epic, along the lines of his second-round 61 in 2013 when he won his last Bridgestone tilt, to have any chance at all. And even then he'll need some help from those in front of him. Qualifying for the final Bridgestone was high atop Woods' goals when he began the year, and he narrowly secured his spot in the field with his tie for 6th place at the Open. Although this isn't the ending he envisioned for his career at Firestone, he did take a moment to appreciate the layout's history. I'm going to miss playing here, Woods said. This is one of the great classic golf courses. Mark Leishman and I were talking about it today. All it is about a month away from you can host whatever major championship you want. That's what this golf course has been over the years, and we're going to miss playing it. Firestone has one more day in the tour spotlight, and even without Woods in the mix, it's shaping up to be a fitting farewell. Akron, Ohio, Justin Thomas pulled away from a crowd with 5 birdies in the middle of his round for a 3-under 67 and a 3-shot lead going into the final round of the Bridgestone Invitational as he goes after his 3rd victory this season on the PGA Tour. No one could keep pace with Thomas, least of all Tiger Woods. Starting the 3rd round Saturday 5 shots behind, Woods didn't make a birdie until a 12-foot putt on the 12th hole, and he didn't make another. He wound up with a 73, leaving him 11 shots back and ending his streak of 10 straight rounds at par or better dating to the US Open. It was very similar to the first day, Woods said. Wasn't very sharp that first day, but I made everything. So today was about the same, and I didn't make anything. That wasn't a problem for Thomas, whose 6 birdies included a chip in from 30 feet behind the green on the par 3-12. He was at 14 under 196, 3 shots clear of Rory McIlroy, 67, and Ian Poulter, 70. Thomas fell behind early with 2 bogeys in 3 holes, and a 10-foot par save in between from behind the 4th green kept him from falling further behind. Poulter set the pace early and had a 3-shot lead at one point until he dropped his shot from the bunker on the par 3 7th, and then had a mixed bag of birdies and bogeys that kept him from getting closer to the lead. Full field scores from the WGC-Bridgestone Invitational. WGC-Bridgestone Invitational. Articles, photos and videos. McIlroy played bogey-free and will find a familiar face waiting for him on the first tee Sunday. McIlroy and Thomas live in South Florida, practice at the Bears Club that Jack Nicklaus built and spent several days practicing last week. We've played a lot, Thomas said, but never in this situation. Jason Day, who threw away a chance to win the Bridgestone Invitational 2 years ago, had a 69 and was 4 shots behind. Mark Leishman, who played alongside Woods, shot 67 and joined Kyle Stanley, 70, 5 shots behind. The course started to get a little firmer. Poulter had a 62 on Thursday. Tommy Fleetwood shot 63 on Friday. The best anyone could do in the 3rd round was a 65 by Ricky Fowler, which only got him within 6 shots. Thomas figured that out quickly. Made an unusual birdie on the par 5 second by hitting his tee shot in the first cut of the 3rd fairway. Blocked by 3s, he opted for a 5-wood that started out toward the 3rd tee and sliced over the trees to the rough, pin high about 15 feet away from an up and down. After a bogey from the trees at no. 3, Thomas went at a back pin on the tough 4th hole and the ball bounded over the green in big rough. He chopped at his chip and did well to run at 10 feet by the hole, making it for par. He bogeyed the next from a bunker, and fell 3 shots behind, but that par save on no. 4 helped by not dropping a shot, and by understanding how the course was playing. Thomas said he told his caddy Jimmy Johnson, "We can't see pin, hit pin." Fleetwood went so far long on the 4th hole that it went 30 yards over the green. He chipped 50 feet by the hole and 3-putted for a double bogey, the start of what turned out to be a sloppy day, and a 74 that dropped him 7 shots behind. McIlroy's only victory this year was at Bay Hill. He was runner-up 3 times, most recently as the British Open. "I played well enough to win a few times this year and I only got over the line once," McIlroy said. "Tomorrow is a great opportunity to try and win again. I'll need a good round. I'm still a few behind. But yeah, I'm getting a little sick of the second places." Poulter already has won at the Houston Open in what has been a big turnaround for the Englishman, who is on the cusp of qualifying for the Ryder Cup. He made a pair of medium-length birdie putts to offset bogeys from the bunkers, but fell out of a chance to be in the last group when he missed a 6-foot par putt on the 17th.